Hey everyone, Lauren from Cornerstone Equine Academy here, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite groundwork exercises, lateral flexion of the head and neck. Now, before I get into the how, I want to talk about the what and the why. So the what is obviously the anatomy of the horse. If you can imagine his anatomy, you obviously have his skull and mandible here. You have the first two vertebrae, the atlas and the axis vertebrae, and then the cervical vertebrae actually make two fairly significant curves throughout the neck. So if you can imagine, the cervical vertebrae comes here in the first curve and then goes the opposite direction in the second curve and then into the chest. So you kind of have an S shape when it comes to their cervical vertebrae. And below I'll put a link to a free printable for the horse anatomy so you can kind of visualize what I'm talking about. So the anatomy of the horse is the musculature of a horse in his neck, in his cervical area. They have 12 pairs of cervical muscles in 5 different layers. So this is what we're trying to focus on when we practice the lateral flexion of the head and neck. We want to try to stretch these muscles, because if there's any tension, they're not going to be able to curve well when we ask them for turns. The neck will turn, but the body won't, or vice versa. So by stretching the head and the neck, we can help them loosen up and be able to carry themselves better. Now, that starts going into the why we want to practice stretching the head and neck. So there's several reasons. Like I said before, obviously having the muscles relaxed, stretched out, flexible is the first step to asking the horse to really move correctly. If you are like me, you kind of stand probably a little collapsed on yourself. And we have the same problem that horses do. In our cervical vertebrae, we've got, a curve here, it goes back against our thoracic, and then we've got a lumbar curve. Well, when we're asking the horse to carry himself properly in collection or even just long and low, what we're asking him to do is actually straighten his vertebrae. So if you do yoga or any kind of athletics, what they tell you to do, so a mountain pose, you rotate your pelvis under, which straightens out the lumbar curve. You lift your thoracic up, which straightens out the thoracic curve, and you imagine a string coming out of the top of your head, which straightens out your cervical curve. By asking the horse to go in frame or in collection, what we're really asking him to do is to bring his head forward, his nose down a bit, which will have the effect, and raise his back, tighten his abs, rotate his pelvis under, which will have the effect of straightening out the natural curves in his cervical vertebrae. They're never going to be totally straight, but by asking him to carry himself properly, we can ask for more advanced maneuvers. So that's the what and the why, one of the whys. What I also like about this exercise is it's the beginning of the one-rein stop. So if you haven't heard of the one-rein stop, it's your best, safest way to control a runaway horse. So if you're on your horse and he spooks and takes off, if you grab one rein, bring his nose around to your knee, he will spin such a tight circle he will have to stop or he'll fall over, and horses don't want to fall over. So if we practice the one rein stop 100,000 times on the ground and then in the saddle, if for whatever reason he ends up spooking, when you go to ask for that one rein turn, he'll know. Instinctually, his muscles will know. He'll have muscle memory of, oh, I'm supposed to turn my head to the knee and stop. Right, buddy? Another reason that I like training the lateral flexion of the head and neck is if you have a horse that likes to walk away when mounting, every time you get on his back, you practice your lateral flexion to both sides, he'll learn to anticipate that, and it helps immensely with the walking off while mounting, because he knows I'm expected to stand and stay while we do this lateral flexion to both sides until I'm asked to go forward. The other reason I like doing it every time I mount and before I dismount for every ride is it bookends your ride. At the beginning, it gives them a pep talk, lets them know what to expect, hey, after we do this lateral flexion, we're working. And then at the end of the ride, after you're warmed down, you ask for the lateral flexion again, and he understands, okay, I'm done working now. I've had great success with this in all of my horses, so I do it even if it's just a couple times every ride. I do it every single ride. Now getting on to the how. So standing at your horse's side, halter and lead rope, and Rumi knows what I'm asking already. Forward. Thank you. Pick up the lead rope with your hand, standing a little bit behind his shoulder, and then gently ask him to bring his head to you. Now, Rumi's really good at this. He knows exactly what I'm asking for. But if you're just teaching your horse this, if they don't bring their head towards you, open and close your hand gently and give their halter sort of rhythmic tugs. This will let them know, hey, she wants something from me. She's not just hanging onto my halter for the fun of it. So phase 1 is on each side of the horse. Ask for the flexion. Stage 2 is standing on one side of your horse. Ask for the flexion. And then toss your rope over his head, and from this side, ask for it on the other side. Good boy. Good boy. Phase 3 of this is dismounted first and then mounted with the bit in their mouth. Ask for the same with your reins instead of the lead rope. Very easy. Phase 4 of this, just to challenge yourself and your horse, is instead of having the lead rope attached directly to the halter, tie a horse's tail hair into a circle and attach this to the hair and put the other end through here, and see if you can get the lateral flexion without breaking the tail hair. Kind of a challenge, kind of a fun thing to try, but that helps you from getting into the habit of just pulling. You'll have to see how gently you can do it. Now, like I said before, troubleshooting. If your horse doesn't give you his head and neck, open and close your hand rhythmically and ask for it with little bumps. If he begins to spin circles around you, simply keep asking, let him spin the circles, and once he's done, release the pressure on his halter and reward him. Let him relax, sigh, lick his lips, whatever he needs to do to process the fact that he did finally what you asked him to do. If you found this video useful, like, comment below and let me know, and be sure to subscribe. And happy riding!
Back up, buddy.
Oh wait, I'm over here. Ready? You have the first two vertebrae, the axis and the atlas. Wrong. Start that over. Will you stay there? Stay here. Stay. Stay.
Oh, okay.
Just step on my pen. If your horse... No, I'll do troubleshooting later. Yeah? Troubleshooting at the end? Okay. So if you found this useful, please comment below, let me know, subscribe for more groundwork videos, and yeah, can you say bye? All right, let's record that outro again. Sound good? Okay. You want to see how it looked? I might have to record the whole thing all over again.